All right. Hello, everyone. It is Wealth Wednesday. Woo! uh, Listen, today we are talking money and wealth building, but more specifically, I am an entrepreneur. For those of you who are just now seeing me and hearing my voice, I am Wadria Taylor. I'm here in Pittsburgh. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm also an Airbnb SuperHost. And on Wednesdays, I like to discuss all things pertaining to wealth and finances. And I have officially been an Airbnb host for a year. And I thought, wow, today would be a great day to review, to recap what my first year as an Airbnb host, what my experiences have been like. I'm going to talk about what I love about it and some things that I don't like so much. For me, guys, as an Airbnb host, it is my first go around. My boyfriend was also a host on Airbnb, and he's the one that inspired me to really to give it a shot. Right, years and years ago, when the platform was first introduced, I had like a one-bedroom apartment, and at that point, this was like probably way back in around 2010-ish. I was like, maybe I should give this a shot, but for whatever reason, I didn't. And seeing the success that my boyfriend was having, I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this a go. Because last year I purchased my first property, I purchased a duplex, and my whole intention in purchasing a multi unit was for it to generate enough income to take care of my mortgage, the utilities, and take care of me too, right? And so, as opposed to renting, I said, let me just give Airbnb a shot to see how I do. I said to myself, if I'm able to make more than what the going rent was before I purchased my house, then why not? All right. So far, guys, I have really mostly positive things to say about Airbnb and about my experience thus far. Of course, nothing is perfect. Every business has its peaks and its valleys, its highs and its lows. And I became a host at a time when COVID, was and still is, affecting travel and affecting people on so many different levels. But for me, thankfully, my Airbnb has been flourishing during this entire time during this pandemic. What I love about hosting, y'all, is I love being able to provide a retreat, a clean, comfortable, and stylish place for guests and their families to have a good time, to relax, and to I call it a retreat because it really is that, for you to just leave whatever else is going on in the outside world. It's really like the safe haven. I have decorated it beautifully. In fact, check out one of the videos that I posted last year where I give you a tour of my Airbnb because I was able to furnish it for under $1,000. You have to check that video out. But I love being able to provide a space for people to convene and to connect and have a great time. I've had guests for every holiday. I had a whole family staying in my Airbnb for Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving. So I actually feel like kind of honored and delighted that a family or just people would choose my property to spend their time. I feel like that says a lot about the listing. So I love that aspect of it. I also love that guests have come from all around the world, all around the country. I've had guests from London. I had somebody book from Japan. I've had people come from Virginia, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Alaska. I mean, literally all over the place. It's also a nice treat to see that, wow, like Pittsburgh is popping because people seem to be coming here from all over the place. So I really love that aspect of it. I also love that my property itself, it's just experienced way less wear and tear than, I mean, I only imagine that if I was renting it and somebody was living there 365, 7 days a week, that it would not look the way that it looks now, which basically it looks about the same as when I purchased it more than a year ago. So I really love that aspect of it. I also love the profitability aspect. Of course, it's a business, right? So I am doing this to make money and to do really well. And thus far, it's been consistently booked. It's actually flourishing, right? Which is great. And I really like that most of the management of my Airbnb, most of it is passive, meaning that once I listed the apartment on Airbnb, and once the cleaning is taken care of, all I'm really doing is collecting and being available to a degree in the event that my guests need anything. I also love that, if you know me, you know that I love to travel. I love that while I have been traveling, I've still been able to maintain my Airbnb. It's still been active. It's still been booked. Most recently, when I was in Mexico last month, I had guests here the entire time and no issues, no problems. So I like that I'm able to still maintain my lifestyle, still travel while being able to maintain this as a steady source of income, right? So far, so it's been 1 year, but we're gonna speak into existence that it will only continue to grow as the time goes and as the years go, right? Now, what I don't like, right? Because as I mentioned in the beginning, nothing is perfect. So the thing that I least like about being an Airbnb host and now a super host as of January 2nd of this year is you have some people, y'all, that are just a hot mess, right? Most of my guests have been good when it comes to cleaning up after themselves. Of course, imagine when you've stayed at a hotel before and perhaps you just throw the towels all over the place and or you pile them up on the floor. Most of my guests have actually been super considerate in terms of how they treat the apartment as well as them cleaning up after themselves. I have really clear instructions as to, how and what they should do, right? Making sure they bag up the garbage and they take it out before they leave. But you just have some guests that are a hot mess. So yeah, I am the housekeeper. I haven't outsourced that aspect of my Airbnb yet. I will be looking for a cleaner soon because next year I'll be doing some extended travel. So I want to be able to have someone here that I can rely on to take care of the cleaning and upkeep of the property. But until then, I am the housekeeper. So y'all, like I have seen there have been a couple of toilets that have just been like when I opened the lift up the cover and I saw what was inside, y'all, like, and I'm not gonna get into no details, but just disgusted, right? So those couple of times I'm just like, I'm cursing up a storm, I'm mad. I'm like, oh my God, like, who would do this? But besides that, besides having a couple of really messy guests, it's totally fine, right? But those one or two times are memorable. And the other thing that I don't like about Airbnb, and I had to make a whole list, so I'm gonna look and consult my list here because there really weren't like a lot of things. How could I forget this one? The thing that I don't like sometimes is when I have really large groups because my Airbnb can accommodate up to like 10 people. And on average, I have at least 5 or 6 guests at a time, right? So when I'm staying below the Airbnb, so I stay in one apartment, the Airbnb is a whole other apartment, but I'm below the Airbnb. So when there are a bunch of people, a bunch of guests, the larger groups, it does get a little bit annoying because I could hear the footsteps. I've had kids and I love the kids. I don't have anything against kids, but the last guest that I had, or the second to last guest that I had, I mean, there are a couple of kids, young kids, they were just running up and down the stairs. They had marbles, my floors are wooden. So just that can be annoying, right? But that doesn't happen a lot. It's really far and few, but just like the toilet, one or two times, it's enough sometimes to make an impression. But when I think about the things that I love, when I think about the pros, they certainly do outweigh those cons. So some people ask me, so some of my friends are like, Wadria, like, are you ever gonna rent? Are you ever gonna rent? And I'm not opposed to renting. I can say almost with certainty that I will be renting in the future as I purchase more properties and expand my real estate portfolio. But right now, for me, Airbnb is the thing for me, right? It's profitable. Not only is it profitable, but my Airbnb has helped me to achieve the goal that I had when I wanted to buy an investment property. My whole goal was for the property to take care of itself. When I say take care of itself, I mean like paying for the mortgage, paying for the utilities, paying for the maintenance, paying for the upkeep. And my Airbnb does that and more. And I'm so grateful. So I don't see myself, stopping anytime soon. And I encourage others to explore hosting as well, whether you have a whole apartment, a whole house, or a room. If you are open to just providing that space that people can utilize, if you are committed to being just a great and hospitable host, then I don't see why people or you wouldn't want to give it a shot. So if you are also a host, if you are new to hosting, if it's something that you're going to be embarking on soon, drop a comment. I would love to hear what your experience is, what are your highs, what are your lows. If you have any tips for me, any things that you're doing as far as just systemizing your Airbnb and your operations. I do want to say something about the learning curve, right? Just with anything else, I definitely had to allow myself that time and space to just get familiar with the platform and to figure out my own flow, right? And I'm still learning. It's only been a little bit more than a year. So I'm still a newbie at this. And what I have done is I've joined a lot of other Facebook groups and for Airbnb host YouTube groups. And I've also consulted with other Airbnb hosts, super hosts who are doing really well, who've been doing it for a while, the vets, and they've also been giving me advice. But I do want to say about pricing, right? When it comes to pricing your listing, once you decide or if you decide to become a host, definitely, as with all the other features, you have to really do what makes sense for you and know that as far as Airbnb's settings are concerned, nothing is set in stone, right? It's not static. You can always go in and adjust and tweak your pricing, your listing settings, whether you want people to be able to book you instantly, as they view your property, or whether you want to be able to pre-select guests, whatever, or pre-approve them. There's so many different settings and things that you can really fine tune to align with how it is that you want to interact with Airbnb, the type of host you want to be. So listen, that's all for now. Have an amazing day. I encourage you to do one thing today for your own finances, right? If to become wealthy, to be wealthy is your goal, then take today to do one thing, whether it's looking at your budget, whether it's paying off paying a bill or seeing what you owe on your bill, whatever it is, just do one thing today that is going to help you to manage and is going to help you to move forward, just even if it's a tiny step forward towards your future financial goals. So thank you so much for tuning in, y'all. I'll be seeing you in my next video.